Alright, so let's talk about a king named Midas. Now this guy, he was incredibly rich. I mean, so powerful it really seemed like he had everything a person could ever desire. But deep down, there were only two things that he truly treasured.
And that saying right there, that pretty much sums up his number one love, gold. His second love was his daughter, and he actually named her Marigold. Now, he did love her for sure, but his affection for her, well, it always had to compete with his love for wealth.
So you can probably guess how this played out. No matter what Marigold did to try and win him over completely, she always found herself in second place. Gold was, and it seems like it always would be, his number one. And you could really see this in the little things, in their day-to-day lives.
Like, picture this. His daughter points out this absolutely breathtaking golden sunset, and his first thought isn't about its beauty, it's about its value. He just wishes the clouds were made of real gold that he could stash away in his treasure room.
And get this, she even played a beautiful song for him on her harp, a song she wrote just for him, and he just brushed it off. The only music he really wanted to hear, he said, was the sound of his gold coins clinking together.
So yeah, when he wasn't with his daughter, this is where you'd find him, deep underground, just surrounded by his treasure. He would count his coins, build little towers with them, and he would even lie down in huge piles of it and make gold angels, kind of like how kids make angels in the snow.
Okay, so one day, while Midas is down there admiring his own reflection in a big sheet of polished gold, he suddenly sees a second face looking back at him. It was a mysterious stranger who seemed to appear right out of thin air. The stranger, who is actually the god Dionysus, starts up a conversation.
And Midas, what does he do? He starts complaining. He tells the stranger that even with all this treasure, he can't rest, knowing there's still gold out in the world that he doesn't own. So in response, the stranger asks him a really simple question. What would it actually take to make you happy?
Midas doesn't even hesitate. He answers, not just with words, but with a little song. His ultimate wish was for the golden touch, the power to turn anything and everything into solid gold just by touching it.
So the stranger, Dionysus, reveals his true identity and says, "All right, you got it. Consider it done." He promises Midas that when the sun rises the next day, this incredible power would be his. And then, poof, he vanished. You can just imagine Midas that night, right? Tossing and turning, wondering if it was all just a dream.
He wakes up, and at first, he's disappointed because nothing seems different. But as the sun rose higher, a single beam of light hit his bed, and suddenly he felt his sheets grow heavy and stiff. He threw them off and saw they had become pure, glittering gold.
He was ecstatic. It wasn't a dream. So he immediately starts testing it out, running around his room, touching his bedpost, his furniture, his chess set, and all of it instantly transformed into shimmering gold.
Of course, he couldn't wait to show Marigold, so at the breakfast table he gives her 3 golden buttercups that he'd just transformed, and then, right in front of her as she's watching in amazement, he touches her plate and her fork, turning them to gold too. The celebration, though, was pretty short-lived. He raised a glass for a toast, but the moment the juice touched his lips, it transformed. He starts coughing and sputtering, spitting out a mouthful of liquid gold.
He kind of laughs it off, thinking it was just a mistake, but then he tries to eat. He spears a sausage, pops it into his mouth, and, yep, the exact same thing happens. It instantly becomes this inedible lump of metal.
Marigold saw exactly what was happening. She looked at her father, worried, and pointed out the terrible truth of his new power. He couldn't eat or drink anymore.
And how does Midas react? With pure fury. He was still so completely blinded by his obsession. He just roared at his daughter, completely dismissing what she was saying and ordering her out of his sight. He just couldn't see past the shine of his brand new golden kingdom.
So days went by. Midas turned everything he could to gold, swords, jewelry, you name it. But he was getting weaker and weaker. One night, Marigold came to his bedside, and seeing him so frail from hunger and thirst, she begged him to ask the god to reverse the power.
But Midas was just so stubborn. Her words only made him angrier. He insisted it wasn't a curse, and in his frustration, he just reached out and pushed her away from him.
And the moment his hand touched her, it happened. His beloved daughter Marigold transformed completely into a golden statue. She just fell to the ground, silent, motionless, and cold.
In that one single moment, everything changed for Midas. He cradled her golden form, weeping, and his tears turned to gold on his cheeks. He cried out to the gods, making this desperate plea, offering to give up every last piece of his wealth if she could just come back.
And just like that, Dionysus appeared again. He could see the king's remorse was genuine. So he agreed to undo the curse, and he gave Midas clear instructions. Go to the river Pactolus, use its water, and wash anything that was changed by the golden touch.
Midas didn't wait a second. He rushed to the river, bathed in its waters, and he could literally feel the power leaving him. He filled a bucket, raced back to the castle, and gently poured the water over the golden statue of his daughter. And as the water touched her, life and color came right back.
After this, King Midas was a changed man, a completely changed man. He had all the gold removed from his castle, he emptied out his entire treasure vault, giving every last coin and trinket to the poor and hungry people of his kingdom.
And in that vast, empty treasure vault, where mountains of gold once stood, King Midas now kept only a single, small table. On it rested what he now considered his greatest treasures, a simple, ordinary rock and 3 sweet yellow buttercups. And that is the story of the Golden Touch.